This is Nick with Build Brothers Roofing at 10031 Old Grove Road. Started my digital inspection. We're on top of a torch down modified bitumen roofing material. Big flat roof. We got a lot of areas where water is ponding on this roof, and a lot of areas where there have been some repairs done as well. But we got a leak coming from this section. But I want to point out what's going on with this roof, right? Number one, we have a very aged material that is on this roof. So the majority of the granules on this torch down material have started to deplete, right? Essentially what's happening is the oils on this material are beginning to evaporate, and as they evaporate, the granules start to wash off this torch down material and the fiberglass becomes exposed. Now, once that fiberglass is exposed, the waterproofing is greatly affected on it and the seams start to loosen up. So you can see how loose everything is. If my tool can get underneath this, then obviously water can get underneath it as well. So these are telltale signs that the product itself has gone past its life expectancy. Now, when you combine an aged product with a roof that is ponding in a lot of areas, and by ponding I mean the water accumulates in certain areas and sits over time, then those are all recipes for leaks. So we can see all the granules accumulate in these areas, and you can see all the water is still here from the rain that we had a few days ago, although we might have had a little bit of rain last night. But anyway, so as that water drains this way, it pulls all the debris, all the granules from the roofing material into these certain sections. And if these sections aren't sealed off properly, if the material is too aged on these sections, then it's gonna leak no matter what. Now we do have a leak coming from right around here in this section as well. Looks like we had some new HVAC units installed. And I wanna point a few things out. I'm also gonna point out how the majority of these skylights are leaking as well. But as we come over to this section, again, I just want to point out how we have a bunch of areas where there have been some repairs. You can see some of these seams have been redone, but then you can also see how that water just sits. You can see where that water just ponds throughout. All these granules just kind of accumulate over time. And so then you get that and you combine that with the fact that a lot of these areas are very, very loose. You can see how easily my tool is getting underneath these seams. Here's another really loose one, right? Again, you can also see how shiny a lot of these areas are. That's all the fiberglass. Again, more leaks. Looks like we got another loose seam over here. So there are multiple areas on this roof where, you know, there are potential leaks already happening. We've had some repairs that were done over here. It looks like somebody came and smeared some mastic over here on this section. But this is a very aged product, okay? You can also see that the seams around the majority of these skylights, you can see the condition of these skylights. These are gonna need to be replaced. But you can see again just how loose everything is along the skylights. Same thing over here. So you can see if my tool is getting underneath it, then obviously water will be able to get underneath it as well. We have a big area where there's a bunch of ponding going on this section. Also, again, more areas where all those granules just accumulate. But this is a concern. So you can see how water's just been sitting here for quite some time. And if you come to this section, I took some pictures in the warehouse. You can see that there are a lot of watermarks on these beams. But you can see where water just sits, but you can also see just how loose this entire seam is. So check this out. So that's how easily my tool can get underneath it. And obviously if my tool is getting underneath it, and you have water that's just sitting on this section, then it's bound to leak. And again, you can see how much ponding has been going on for quite some time. So in my professional opinion, you know, this roof should definitely be replaced. And what I would suggest replacing this roof with is a TPO roofing material. TPO is a commercial grade product. We use it on the majority of our flat roofs, especially our commercial buildings. And it does a fantastic job of turning this entire roof plane into one singular membrane. So the way that it's installed, like I said, it becomes one singular piece at that point. The other benefit of it is that it is highly reflective, so it's going to reflect a lot of sunlight off this roof. It's going to cool it down. I am going to suggest replacing these skylights as well. We can go ahead and custom order those as long as the building owner is ready to do so. If not, then we can always reinstall them. But you can see that we had a big patch done right here. You can see how soft it is. You can see where this area is starting to cave in a little bit. It's very, very soft. So there will be some plywood damage on this roof, some areas where the plywood is going to need to be replaced. But But again, there are just so many areas of this roof that are starting to fail that I want to make sure that the business owner understands that, again, this is a very aged roof. And in order to ensure that it's not going to roof properly, the best bet would be to go ahead and replace it with a material that's going to go ahead and waterproof it. So we'll talk to the home or to the business owner, let it figure out what they want to do. If they want to just focus on a repair on this section, that's fine. But if not, then I am going to suggest that we go ahead and replace this material with a TPO roofing material, or we can also keep it at the same material, which is that Torsion modified bitumen. I'll leave that up to the homeowner or the business owner. That's it for my inspection.